For decades, people have said the same thing about Port Antonio. It's the most beautiful town in Jamaica and the most underdeveloped. Port Antonio has world-class beaches, rich cultural history, and natural attractions that rival anything the Caribbean has to offer. But it has never experienced the same scale of tourism investment as Montego Bay, Ocho Rios, or Negril. Right now, that may be starting to change. Heavy machinery is on the ground in Portland, contractors are clearing land, and the first physical signs of a US $81 million construction project are taking shape. After years of promises and delays, Jamaica's Port Antonio bypass is finally starting. And this is not just a road story. Port Antonio sits along a narrow coastal corridor. It's a town built around the sea, and for a long time, that was its greatest asset. Ships came through. Banana trade flourished. Errol Flynn fell in love with the place in the 1940s and called it the most beautiful spot on Earth. But that same coastal geography creates serious problems today. The main road through town runs right along the water. It's narrow, congested, and during busy periods, market days, tourism season, storm events, it becomes a bottleneck. Residents, delivery trucks, school buses, and tourists all compete for the same limited space. Then, there's a problem that doesn't get talked about enough. That road floods. When hurricanes roll through or storm surges hit, Port Antonio can be effectively cut off. Investors and developers don't build where access can disappear overnight. For decades, the conversation about Portland's potential has come back to the same conclusion. Fix the infrastructure first. Everything else follows. That's what makes this bypass so significant. The bypass will create a new inland elevated route around Port Antonio, designed specifically to avoid the flooding and coastal erosion that have plagued the existing road. The project runs in 2 phases. Phase 1, now underway, runs from Norwich in the west to Turtle Crawl Harbour in the east, approximately 7.5 kilometers. It will feature a 4-lane roadway with a concrete median, new bridges, upgraded drainage, improved intersections, and 3 access points back into Port Antonio's commercial centre. Phase 2 extends the corridor from Turtle Crawl Harbour to Boston Bay, another 11 kilometers. The total construction cost is approximately US $81 million, roughly 12.6 billion Jamaican dollars. The government has committed an additional 521 million Jamaican dollars for land acquisition, covering around 292 parcels and over 300 structures. The contractor is China Harbour Engineering Company, CHEC, supervised by Jamaica's National Works Agency. Ground was broken on June 26, 2025. Physical construction began in 2026, with CHEC currently working on the middle section of Phase 1, near Turtle Crawl Harbour and Waterworks, focusing first on government-owned land while private land acquisition continues. Environmental approvals from NEPA are secured. Phase 1 is expected to take 18 months. Here's where this gets bigger. At the groundbreaking, Prime Minister Holness declared that Port Antonio has the potential to become the St. Bart's of the Northern Caribbean. Whether that comparison is realistic is open to debate, but it reveals the scale of the government's ambition. The government has commissioned a full master plan for Port Antonio, designed by world-renowned Jamaican-American architect Gordon Gill. It includes a cruise ship terminal on East Harbour, luxury hotels and villas on Folly Lands, a pedestrian promenade connecting East and West Harbours, a sports and entertainment amphitheatre on the upgraded cricket grounds, a new public park along the waterfront, the Boundbrook Urban Centre, already 40% complete as a structured commercial and residential hub. Every one of those developments depends on reliable access. Investors won't build a luxury hotel if getting guests in and out of town is a problem. Holness described the bypass as connecting the coast to the countryside, the farms to the resorts, and the world to Portland. That's not road builder talk, that's economic strategy. The argument for Portland is strong because the raw material is already there. The Blue Lagoon, one of the most photographed natural features in the Caribbean. Deep, turquoise water, unlike anything else in the region. Frenchman's Cove, consistently rated one of the world's most beautiful beaches. Crystal clear water, a freshwater stream running onto the sand, surrounded by tropical forest. Rio Grande rafting, a bamboo raft journey down a jungle river. One of Jamaica's most authentic cultural experiences. Boston Bay, the birthplace of Jamaican jerk, a culinary landmark that draws visitors from across the world. Portland also has waterfalls, hiking, maroon heritage, and a slow, authentic pace that mass-market destinations simply can't replicate. The bypass, once complete, should improve traffic flow around Port Antonio and signal to developers that the Eastern Corridor is finally open for serious investment. No project of this scale comes without complications. The land acquisition process is significant and sensitive. Over 300 structures are affected. Some residents have raised concerns about communication and compensation. The NWA says consultations are ongoing, but this process deserves close attention. There are also environmental concerns. Some residents worry construction could disturb natural watercourses and cause flooding. The NWA has obtained NEPA approvals and says the road is designed as a climate-resilient corridor, but these concerns should be monitored. Then there's delivery. This bypass was first announced in 2022. Ground broke in 2025. Full construction began in 2026. Jamaica has a history with infrastructure delays and cost overruns. The government has committed to strict oversight, but Phase 1 won't be judged until it's actually delivered within that 18-month window. And the hardest truth: infrastructure alone doesn't guarantee prosperity. The bypass creates conditions for development. But investment, policy execution, and community buy-in still have to follow. For decades, Port Antonio has been described as Jamaica's hidden gem. The question now is whether it can remain hidden. Once the bypass is complete, access improves, and investment starts flowing, Portland may find itself facing an entirely different future. The hotels, the cruise terminal, the waterfront promenade, those things don't happen without a road. But they can happen after one. The bypass alone won't transform Port Antonio, but it may be the project that finally makes that transformation possible. The machinery is on the ground. The approvals are in place. The plan exists. Now it comes down to execution. Drop your thoughts in the comments, especially if you're from Portland. Subscribe to follow this story as construction progresses.